What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, everyone, and welcome back to After the Snap. I'm Tasha Pierce. In case you didn't know, this right here is a little show we do once a week called Engage Live. I almost said once a week on Sundays, but you know, these last couple of weeks, Sundays ain't been working out. Sundays have been hard to do. Let's see. I have a couple of comments that was already here waiting for me. Justice says, hi, Tasha. Hope you're doing well and that everything is getting repaired. Yeah, my AC went out yesterday. Y'all would not have wanted to talk to me yesterday. I was cranky, was not the happiest camper. But yes, everything is back to normal. It got back to normal a little bit later yesterday evening, probably about midway, maybe towards the end of what our show would normally be. Things had gotten back to normal, but I was fit to be tired yesterday. I was not happy. It was hot as hell. Like in this week in Texas, the temperatures are supposed to be up where I'm at in Texas. I don't know about where you at in Texas, but where I am in Texas, the temperatures are supposed to be 90s to 100s. Oh my goodness. I think we got some news from Clarence. Wait a minute. I'm so excited. I don't know. Oh, how precious. In case, I'm so glad I just got it. I'm about to cry. I just love babies. And yeah, I guess I spoiled it before I even told y'all what it is. I just love babies. Clarence and his girlfriend are the new parents of a little bitty baby. And because they didn't want to know ahead of time what they were having, so I'm not sure if this is a little girl or a little boy. It's a beautiful baby, though. I will not share the picture of the baby. He shared it with me. I won't share the picture of the baby with anybody else without his permission, but I am so excited for them. There is nothing better than bringing in another little life into the world and, you know, watching this little person grow up. Wow. This is definitely Clarence's baby. Definitely Clarence's baby. Oh, gosh. I'm about to cry, really. I love babies. um, so yes, Win Grace, I am nice and cool today. Everything is everything. Don't forget to hit the like button if you are here now. Uh, a girl, she is beautiful. So yes, he just updated me. This is a baby girl. She is so gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But yes, this baby looked just like Clarence. Oh gosh. Oh, how precious. That just made me so happy. Oh gosh. I mean, I'm thrown now. There's nothing I can say behind this except for wow. It's uh one of the things that reminds me that there is a God. You know, sometimes I feel like uh that there is so many things that talk me against there being something looking out for us as far as a higher being is concerned. And then I see stuff like this, and it warms my heart. So I know that Clarence and Ashley will be excellent parents to this little baby girl. And again, I'm gonna wait till I get some permission to share pictures or to even divulge her name, but she is gorgeous, gorgeous. Um, so moving on. Justin says, "Win Grace." Oh, he's saying happy to see Win Grace. I'm glad you guys are very happy to see each other in the chat. It's just so much fun to know that everybody is getting along. We are all one big old family down here. Uh, Win Grace is offering his congratulations to Clarence. Congrats on a healthy baby of any gender, but this is a little queen. She is upsetting the balance in that household, I think now. Wait a minute, is she? Yeah, I think she is. I think she is upsetting the balance in Clarence's family. uh, thank you, Justin. Glad it got fixed. Prayers answered. Congratulations to Clarence and his family on the new baby girl. God bless. Yes, indeed. God bless. So this is already a blessing. Everybody is doing, everybody over there is doing well. Nothing bad to report. Clarence, I guess you guys knew that he kind of been MIA the last couple of weeks. We were in the home stretch of this little miracle, and here she is, just in time for the Strange New Worlds premiere. And that is going to be one of the things that we're going to discuss is the Strange New Worlds, the news that's coming out of that camp, because y'all know it premieres on Thursday. Is it Thursday? It's Thursday. Yeah, it premieres on Thursday. So we are ramping up our we're getting real close. And so when we do that, our media and our marketing and all of that machine goes into overdrive. I have been excited to read some of the things that I have read. And if you're interested in reading the articles that I read, I do believe I linked most of them in the show notes for this here live stream. But we're going to talk about it because this show is going to be halfway us discussing Strange New Worlds upcoming first episode this week, Thursday. And it's also going to be us discussing that philosophical question that I asked about the Star Trek TOS episode, This Side of Paradise. So we got some things to discuss. We're going to start, of course, as we usually do, with our icebreaker, starting with Beyond the Holodeck. And our Beyond the Holodeck topic for today is from Newly Celebrities user on Reddit. Why force fields for the brig? Bars are still more reliable and they don't require energy. I'm wondering, why do they use force fields in things like the brig to hold people in? It has to be constantly on, using up power, and it can also fail during power outages, as we've seen happen more than once before. Just because it's higher tech doesn't always mean it's more practical. And I propose old school iron bars or some other kind of physical barrier is still a better option than a constantly running force field. Anybody got thoughts? So that is our Beyond the Holodeck topic for today. If you got thoughts, I'd like to hear them down in the chat. If you're watching it on the rebroadcast, I wouldn't mind y'all dropping it in the rebroadcast. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Beyond the Holodeck question of, or the topic of the day. That to me is an interesting question. Why force fields for the brig? When Grace is offering his idea, he says, good idea. You even have the bars as a backup in case the power fails. I like that idea. I like to think that we are being proactive. So just in case this high tech fails us, then we have the good old fashioned stuff that it may have let us down once or twice, but it's in no way, shape, or form reliant upon the power on the ship. Okay, When Grace wants to get dark with us. When Grace says, so if you want to get really dark, have a sealed room with no exits that you just beam the person into. Yeah, you called it talking about being dark. Would you call that cruel and unusual? Would you call it? I wouldn't call it cruel and unusual. It's not cruel to lock somebody in a room, a sealed room. Is it cruel? Once you start saying no exits, though, that's when it starts to become a problem. And the only reason it becomes a problem is because if something happens on the ship, this person is stuck in the room, especially if that's not the first thought that comes to somebody's mind is, let's get everybody out the brig. If you're in the brig, then you should have a luck. I don't know. I'd like to hear the thoughts on that. Okay, if we're not doing force fields, we want to beam people into sealed rooms and see how that works. Oh gosh, I love to hear your thoughts. I think bars, at the end of the day, bars, and I'm not talking 16 bars like the rap songs. I'm talking bars, physical bars, are probably the best answer if you're not going to use the force field. Or if you are going to use a force field, you still need a backup, and that backup should be a physical one. So those are my thoughts. The question or the topic is going to remain open for the remainder of our chat today. So if you come up with something and you want to share it, put it down in the comments. I would love to hear it. When Grace says Section 31 probably just stores people in the pattern buffer. And see, that's an example you don't want to follow. You do not want to do what Section 31 would do. In fact, you ask yourself, what would Section 31 do? And you do anything but that. Oh, Lynn Grace says, why am I giving them Section 31 ideas? I hate them. and that's the thing, you're thinking like the exact opposite of what you would do in any other Trek series or any other Trek entity. Whatever the opposite of what you would do for anybody else, that's what Section 31 would do. And Section 31, again, is not our best example of being ethical or moral. Justice says, I think it's more humane also. Now, which is more humane? The force field, the bars, locking people up in sealed rooms, or storing them in the pattern buffer? You're going to have to be a little bit more clear. Which one is the most humane out of those choices? Okay. And while I'm waiting on answers, if we get any more answers, great. We are going to go to the Captain's Log, our weekly Star Trek news briefing. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to pull it up over here too, because I want to be able to see Okay, so Justin thinks the force field is more humane. Is it though? When they touch it, they get zapped. They like it will deter them from continually trying to escape. I think bars may give them false hope that they could get out, so that they would try to get around these bars. But the force field lets them know the minute they touch it, maybe once or twice, they'll realize I ain't getting out of here unless the power goes out, or whatever. Something would have to happen for them to be let out. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna talk about um Strange New Worlds. We're gonna start off with the interviews that went on at London Comic Con. They had a holographic panel, which I thought was one of the coolest effing things I'd ever heard of. They brought in Celia Rose Gooding, Melissa Navia, Rebecca Romaine, and Ethan Peck via hologram. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Let's hear what Clarence has to say. New Papa. Clarence says, I think they may use force field because they're just easier, more hardened. Maybe certain aliens can get through bars easier. Now, that is something to think about. Some aliens could manipulate those bars in one way or another, meaning they could. We need to know what the hardest metal is that exists in Star Trek, in the universe, the Star Trek universe, and say that every ship is outfitted with a brig that has got these kind of bars available. Or yeah, we might just need to stick with the force fields. It's harder to get around force fields because if you have an alien species with superhuman strength or just super strength, they may be able to just bend those bars and walk right the hell on through. And then if we have one who can manipulate their size or shape, they could just get on through. So you don't want to do either one of those things and make it easy for somebody to get out. If for some reason in the Star Trek future you're being held behind some bars, you got to have done something. They usually would just confine you to quarters unless you really did something awful, Justice says 25th century innocent until proven guilty isn't a saying, it's truth, and they live it. It's my hope that the system is fair by then. Again, that's what I'm saying. If they putting you in the brig, you done some shit. You have done something that they feel like they need to hold you in the brig and not confine you to some quarters. So yeah, that's something to think about. Neutronium is the toughest metal that Wingray says, and he also says that they should use programmable matter in the disco era. Okay, and then Justin says bars kind of make prisoners look as if they're not people. It's like we're so used to. Either way, it's inhumane. We put animals behind bars at zoos and the such. And I used to think that zoos were cute and I would love to go, but now I feel sorry for those animals that are there. And this ain't native to them to be locked up behind bars for their life. That's terrible. And that's why you see these animals. Now I'm going off on a tangent, but that's why you see these animals revolting. Because you see how these orcas in the water now, mind you, they had the orcas that they were keeping at SeaWorld, the killer whales, and sometimes they would flip out and they may kill their trainers or whatever because they go mad being cooped up in the small area when they are meant to be out there and free. Okay, so at a point, they started releasing some of these orcas back into the wild. Now, we know that the orcas, these whales, are some of the smartest animals in the world. Um, Dolphins and orcas and octopi, those, they are very, very, very intelligent animals, and they communicate with one another. They keep their young with them for long periods of time until it's almost rivals what we do with our young. So you think about that. um, you let this orca back into the wild, and whatever their language, however they communicate that people are a threat. Now, now you see these orcas, when they see people in boats, they attacking. They are doing everything in their power to capsize these boats. Have you guys been watching that? We need to stop imprisoning animals. Now, when people behave like predators, every species has predators. We know that there's some of us are going to be predators. When people behave as predators, we have to treat them as predators. And I'm talking for the worst crimes, uh, not I stole some food stamps or some shit like that. You know what I mean? But for the worst crimes, I think if a person behaves as a predatory species, we need to treat them as one. I'm not going to continue on this tangent because I could do it all day. If you guys didn't know, I got a second podcast that is going to be revamping, and it is more about crime and paranormal and mysteries, those types of conversations. I'm revamping that podcast starting Thursday. So if you guys want to subscribe to that and help me out, I would love it. But I don't want to take us in that direction today. And you guys got to excuse my shirt. That is powder from me powdering my face, and it won't come off. Yep, won't come off. But anywho, just the sort of thing about the orcas. Them orcas is not playing with us anymore, okay? They're not playing with us anymore. They see us as threats, and I don't blame them. But anywho, I could do this all day. We're going to talk about Strange New Worlds, London Comic-Con with the holographic panel. First and foremost, we did get some quotes, and there is a theme amongst all of these quotes from these actors. And I just want you guys to see what the talking points that they were given by the studio, the producers, or the execs, and whomever. You know that they got some talking points. So tell me if excuse me, I'm sorry. That was me drinking that water real fast. Tell me if you notice what the theme is. We're going to start with number one, Rebecca Romaine. She came out and she's like, we really took some very big swings with genre in season 2, and not everybody. She says it might not completely be embraced by all fans, but we tried a lot of things and we're very proud of it and very excited to share it with the fans. So, thank you so much. I hope you do. And I hope you like it. But so she's already telling us, hey, we did some different stuff than we did last season, which I don't find a problem with. I think that is what we expect from shows. I don't particularly want to see the same thing done over and over and over again. So the fact that we doing something different doesn't bother me at all. Then we get Melissa Navia, who is, of course, Ortega's, and she said, pretty much around when we started filming season 2, season 1 was coming out. So we had definitive proof that what we were doing was working, and the fans embraced it, and the world was as excited to get it as we had been to make it the year prior. So it just really energized the set. We were like, yeah, they like this, so let's do more of it. And so it kind of gave us the push to take big swings and to go all out and say the fans have our backs. So I agree. And I like Ortega's and I'm looking for more of her. So we do have more of her coming. as promised by the actress herself, she said, I think what the fans want and what the fans are going to get is to see that what that backstory is for Ortega's and what made her so capable, so skilled, so professional. Why is she so loyal to her crewmates? Why they're loyal to her, her relationship with Pike, and the rapport they have. She said she's excited to show fans where she comes from and why she fits and why she belongs on the Enterprise. I don't think there's any question about why she belongs on the Enterprise. We know that this ship seems to get the best crew. Whether we want to call it the flagship of the Federation or whether, because they technically the Federation before TOS, but yeah, I guess that they were the Federation. They had some different ish going on before TOS, but I think that's all been retconned, and I'm just being nitpicky. The bottom line is we know she belongs on the Enterprise because she is likely the best at her job in that era. So male, female, whatever, she's a hell of a driver and they want the best on the Enterprise. So, but what is her relationship with Pike? Why are they closer? It seems like they are closer to being friends than the average helms person, the average and the captain. So we pay close attention to what's going on with Ortega's. Again, keep back in your mind, there's an underlining theme of these interviews. So our next one is going to be Celia Rose Gooding, also known as Uhura. She said, I think what we've done with season 2 was really take some big genre swings. I think pretty much everyone is trying something that we weren't expecting to do, myself included, especially with Uhura. We're charting some uncharted territory. Patrick Rose, thank you for subscribing. Was that today? I don't know. Patrick Rose, I hope that was today. I don't see it on my list. It could be somebody who had already subscribed and they did it under a different name. I don't know. We're going to see. But somebody, the Stream Elements is telling me to say thank you. So if that's the case, thank you, Patrick Rose, for subscribing. So Uhura, we got her saying some of the same stuff. We also have a little bit more about her and what we might be able to expect from Hemmer. So Bruce Horak, that's who played Hemmer, is such a light, and for Uhura to have that, especially given her past and her history with family and community, to have someone so near and dear to her in those moments of newness and trying to figure out who she is in Starfleet and what Starfleet means to her. That was a long ass run-on sentence, and it ain't over. To have that was so beautiful. That was a very long sentence, Celia Rose Gooding. And then to lose it was so heartbreaking, but also so yummy for reasons I can't explain just yet. I think that there's a lot more to learn about their relationship, even in Hemmer's passing. And yeah, I'm just really excited for fans to get to know the layers of Uhura through her relationship with Hemmer and also her relationship with herself after Hemmer's gone. So it does sound to me like in some way, shape, or form, we're going to get Hemmer. It sounds to me like maybe not the way I feel like Hemmer could come back, because I really do believe that Hemmer should be able to come back in real life, simply because he's an Enar and he was exiled in some ice. And I know that there is some things that y'all was pointing out, but at the end of it all, I think he could have survived it, and I'm going to still keep my fingers crossed, even though it sounds to me like what we're going to see is Hemmer come back in some other way, as maybe flashbacks to conversations that they had that we weren't privy to, or in as her imaginary friend, her conscience, or something of that nature. We're going to see her continue to interact with Hemmer. It sounds like. Tell me what you think based on what you heard, and I am going to move on to Ethan Peck, who during this holographic interview, this is the only quote that I got from him in that setting, but we did get him in a separate interview where he was interviewed alongside Paul Wesley, who was playing Jim Kirk. But let's start with this quote from Ethan Peck. He said one thing he loved so much was being able to work with and become friends with Carol Kane. She's such an amazing person, actor, cohort, and so that was super fun and exciting. If you ask me, those are the words of a person who don't want to say the wrong thing. This is a person who is choosing their sound bites very carefully at this London Comic-Con, because wherever the fans are, whether you're in the United States and North America here, or you across the pond, one thing we're going to do is over scrutinize every word that you say and find a way to make it point back to some element of the show that you're in. We are very skilled as far as a fandom at doing this, and I think Ethan Peck had made up his mind that he was going to tread very carefully in the things that he said during these interviews. He was a little bit more loose later on, as you'll see in a second interview, but this interview, he was very careful, very careful. And again, he didn't even mention the sound bite that everybody mentioned so far in the interviews. We're still not through. In a separate interview, we had Pike and Una. So Anson Mount and Rebecca Romijn sits down with an interviewer, and this is what they had to say. Anson Mount said, yeah, we really had the benefit of a network. Oh, and I forgot to change it for you guys. Sorry. He said, yeah, we really had the benefit of a network that had learned to trust our showrunners when they want to take big swings. And also their investment, like we continue to build out this ship. So there's just tremendous support from the network. So he's, giving us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, saying that for all the people who think that there have been corners cut or that kind of thing going on with Strange New Worlds, that's not the case. In fact, he's saying this ship is being built out even further. Furthermore, they are being allowed the space to take big swings. Then we have Rebecca Romijn. She says, we've taken some very big swings genre-wise in season 2, which is exactly what she said in the other interview, which makes me, again, think this is something she's supposed to say. She's supposed to say, we're taking big swings genre-wise. And out of all of the people that have been interviewed so far, only one of them did not use the term big swing. Here we are. We have a few episodes coming up in the second half of the season that are really out there. So we're very proud of them. We're very excited. Anson mentioned earlier that sometimes when you get to episode 9, which is almost at the end of the season, everyone's kind of tired. Everyone's sort of almost ready to go home. They brought us this episode that was so out there. Episode 9. And if anybody has the list, I know I got it someplace in my computer. If anybody has the list of what episode 9 is, because I didn't think episode 9 was the one that I would expect them to be talking about as a big swing, which is the crossover event with Lower Decks. they talking about a whole different big swing. And it's I don't know, I can't remember what episode was number 9. It wasn't the Gorn one. That seems like it was the last one. So what was the episode that's supposed to be the second to last episode that also is talking about us? They're taking these huge swings. Anyway, so they brought out this episode that was so out there. It required us to work on weekends. And we were also excited about it. It was like this extra wind behind our sails that we needed at that point in the season. That is a very interesting quote. It makes me far more excited to see what's going to happen. You know, I've already been excited about the Lower Decks crossover. It's hard not to get excited about that and to see how they are going to pull that whole thing off. But then these big swings that she keeps talking about, and this episode 9 that she's mentioned, it has gotten me far more invested in making sure I'm sitting my butt straight forward in my seat in front of the TV every week and making sure that I don't miss an episode, which I was going to probably do anyway, but I'm super excited, and it's going to make me talk. It's going to make me try to guess what episode 9 is. Y'all already know how my mind thinks. I'm a sucker for a puzzle like this, and I am going to try to unravel what I believe episode 9 is going to be all about. So maybe you guys are not going to take the bait, but they got me. I'm in. I'm all the way in. So, like I was saying, it's easy to get excited for this. I'm still trying to figure out how what it was, Jack Quaid. Yeah, how does Jack Quaid and Tawny Newsom's characters wind up in Strange New Worlds? I'm excited to find out how this shit goes down. I'm wondering if the device that he's holding in his hand has anything to do with it. But there were some quotes from Ethan Peck in the second interview that I was talking about that talked about his relationship, as far as him as Spock, his relationship with Boimler. And I don't think there's any spoilers here, but I'm going to just go ahead and start getting into the what he said. Ethan Peck said Jonathan Frakes, who directed the episode, coined us Spoimler. I don't know if Ethan Peck just stays in character. He acts like he's never heard of people putting those kind of like two names together and making them a thing. So he said he coined them Spoimler, which is a hybrid of our names Spock and Boimler. That just made me so happy to have this joke with Jonathan Frakes, who I so revere. I didn't do much improvising as I stay on my rails as Spock. It's quite difficult to improvise when he's speaking about some matters of science. But Jack had a little more leeway with that, and he did improvise, which was really fun. And that to me is where you find the beauty of having Jack Quaid and Tawny Newsome in these roles, because they come from improv. That is their home. Their second homes was from improv. I believe Tawny Newsome was part of the Second City SCTV type Second City improv group. I think she was. So what I'm saying is they are built for this type of television. I don't know how much improvisation they're able to do in animation, but this right here is a whole different ball game. They can say something different every time the camera comes back on. It's in their wheelhouse, and to have them working together, I think this sounds like an awful lot of fun for those two characters. Last but not least, we're going to talk about, or is this last but not least? Yeah, I think it is. We are going to talk about what Paul Wesley had to say about playing Kirk. He said, I think it would be a mistake to sort of automatically be that version of the Kirk that is part of the canon we know. I think he's still sort of trying to figure himself out. I think part of the fun of playing this character, pre the Kirk that we all know, is to slowly evolve and to slowly develop the mannerisms or characteristics or the cadence. I think that we can sort of slowly get there. And I think if we get there from day one, it's a little bit less interesting to watch. So I wanted to keep it a sort of a little bit unique and different. And I like that. This Kirk should not be Captain Kirk, because to me, it seems like there is an awful lot that he can continue to learn as he's moving from being, what is he, a lieutenant commander, from being where he is now to moving into the captain's seat. There's a couple of ranks to get through. And I think that he needs to evolve slowly. And we've got some years before we see him in the captain's chair. And I think it's best to utilize those years in showing him how to best be in command when it's his turn, when he's the man up. Ha. Thank you, Clarence. Subspace Rhapsody is episode 9, assuming she's talking about release order and not production order. Now, when we start talking about that, because that is the one, Subspace Rhapsody is the episode that I thought could be leaning towards Spock with his what do you call it, his lute? Spock with his lute. And I said that because of Bohemian Rhapsody, the name of that song. I forgot. I know I'm gonna get kicked in the butt for forgetting which one of the supergroups did Bohemian Rhapsody. I believe it was Freddie Mercury. Now, I think. Let me know. I think I'm almost positive it's Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury, final answer. But anywho, because of Bohemian Rhapsody, that's what made me think of Subspace when I saw Subspace Rhapsody. And I know that there's an episode where we see Spock with his lute. The last thing that I want for this episode to be is a goddamn musical. I'm not going to say I'm not going to like it, because that would be unfair. That would be unfair of me to say I don't like it. But if this is a musical, I don't know. Okay, so that's my first swing. I'm taking some big genre swings myself. They keep talking about big swings in all of these interviews. They say that some people are not going to like these big swings. They're playing around with genre. We already got an animated crossover. Please don't make this a musical. But okay, let me know what y'all think. If would you guys be down for a musical? Please tell me in the chat. Wingrace says, I'm the one person on this planet trying to defend him as Kirk. Yes, this is still Kirk. I agree with you, Wingrace. I will be in your corner as far as defending him as Kirk. This is still Kirk. It's just not the Kirk that we know yet. Just like this ain't the Spock we know yet. We have seen far more flashes of emotion in this Spock, and then we see him try to contain himself. But we've seen some flashes of emotion in this Spock, and we see it as we move forward in the real Spock, in what do we call him? Legacy Spock. We see some flashes of emotion. It's always something that he is struggling with. We're going to talk a little bit about it when we start talking about this side of paradise. But yes, there are little struggles, but Kirk right now should be a whole different person. Maybe not a whole different person, because if you would have met me 15, 20 years ago. This is not who I am now. That was a different version of me. It was an alternate timeline version of me. And people who came along the ride with me, some of them like the changes and some of them don't. It's because we didn't know how it was going to turn out. Nobody knew I was going to be a freaking know-it-all with a big mouth. Nobody knew that, right? So, as we get older, we become a new person, and it shouldn't be any different for Kirk. He should have an opportunity or the space to grow as a person. And we didn't, as we talked about, me, Clarence, and Jonathan on our panel at Comic Palooza, we didn't see an awful lot of growth in all those years after TOS. From TOS through all these movies, we didn't see an awful lot of growth from Spock. I mean, from Kirk. He pretty much stayed the same. So here's an opportunity to show that he wasn't always this. There was sometimes him being that. And I like it. When Grace, so I'm with you. When Grace is also letting me know that it was Queen. Freddie Mercury, Queen. Yeah. So thank you. You are the champion. Clarence says, Wesley just feels like a different Kirk. I don't hate it. It's just different. Exactly. And because we are so used to seeing this same Kirk throughout TOS, we saw maybe a little itsy bitsy bit of a change in him in a couple of the movies, but personality stayed pretty close to the same as we moved through the movies. And the only place I don't know is the books and stuff, but I'm talking same universe Kirk. There weren't a lot of flourishes made to his character. So I'm happy to see that we're saying in universe, this Kirk did have a different personality at some point in his life. Justice says, it does sound interesting, and I'm looking forward to this season. I like new ideas and things that challenge the Star Trek world, but also being respectful to all. Episode 9 sounds like a musical. Justin is agreeing. It sounds like a musical. I don't want it to be a musical, but I'm not going to, again, I ain't going to say that I'm not going to like it because that's me getting ahead of myself. I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to find out because I did, surprisingly, I like that short track where Spock and number one were trapped in the elevator and they got to singing, and I liked that short track. But I'm wondering if I'm going to enjoy an entire episode of singing and such. But we don't even know if that's true. We can, that's the swing I'm taking. That's my big swing. I'm taking a big swing, and I'm saying that episode 9 is a musical. When Grace says, at Clarence, true, I've been trying to give him the benefit of playing the character differently because it was an alternate future. Holding out hope for season 2. It was an alternate future in episode or season 1. Season 2, I honestly believe we're going to have an unsure Kirk. Not completely unsure, because one of his character traits is his confidence. And his brother even said, as he's describing him, he's a very confident man. So yeah, I don't want him to be the same character. I do want there to be some differences. I saw flashes of Kirk in Paul Wesley's performance last season. I saw Kirk interacting with another captain, a more experienced, seasoned captain than he. That's what I saw. Doesn't mean everybody saw it that way, but I did. I didn't have an issue with Paul Wesley's performance. I would feel some type of way this year if this is not Captain Kirk. This is Lieutenant Commander Kirk or Lieutenant, what he's something. So, Lieutenant Commander or Commander Kirk, he should not be as assured as the version that we saw last season. He should just be a little bit more, he should not, I won't call it, I hate the word that I'm think that first come to my mind, which was subservient, but he should be a little less sure. He should be what you consider a model a model soldier or a model member of the crew, but he should not be a captain masquerading as a lieutenant commander, if that makes sense. Justice says, I like the move they're doing with Kirk. Make him earn that captain title and the love. I agree. Stream Elements wants me to say, join us on Discord. The link is in the pinned comment in the chat here. Also, follow me on Twitter at SnapAfter if you're not watching me over there. If you are, howdy. And hit that like button and subscribe. Win Grace is thanking Stream Elements for the win. Win Grace says, Kirk was described as a nerdy bookworm in the academy. So this could be the bridge between that and the TOS swagger. Now that is a good idea. Even though Kelvin Kirk was not that. Kelvin Kirk was a whole different bag of worms. Yes. So let's get to our prime perspective question of the week there. Do you think people should be allowed to make their own choices, even if it means experiencing pain and hardship? Or is it better to live in a state of blissful ignorance? What do you think? In the episode, This Side of Paradise, should Kirk have interfered or let those people continue living in their illusion of paradise? I got some good responses. As always, Justin and Win Grace are filling out my show, but we also got a response from David, which unfortunately I don't see him in the chat today, but I know he usually will watch the rebroadcast. And his response was, wait a minute, sorry, excuse me for just one moment, y'all. It's me and popcorn, man. It's always getting stuck in my tooth, and I'm always eating popcorn. I'm sorry. David said, do we exercise our egos by playing God? Or is it in your friend's best interest to be awakened to the truth with paradise lost and illusion shattered? Or is the right move to go Zen and let it be? So he's answering these questions, this very philosophical question with more philosophical questions. I think I'd strive for the truth, even though it may serve my ego. The ego always has to be right. The truth is definitively right. So you would tell the person, hey, this world you're living in is not real. And I'm not mad if that's what you would do. Moving on, we got Win Grace. Win Grace says, this is a tough one. I personally don't think we, let me make it bigger because I can't see. He said, this is a tough one. I personally don't think we, at least at this point in our development, can thrive and enjoy a life of paradise. I think we have an innate need to overcome a struggle. If presented with perfect existence, we would eventually create problems to solve. A similar example can be seen in the Voyager episode where the Q, known as Quinn, wants to end things for himself. He's trying to be YouTube safe. Thank you very much. because there is no longer anything new to the Q existence. You can guide, you can support, you can help out, but you cannot implement your own will over anyone, even for their own good, without causing more problems than you intend. Things might look great, and they may be great, but that won't last for the long haul. At least that is when graces take. This one, look, a little part of me agrees. And the only reason I can disagree now is because we have seen something different happen to a Q. We saw Q, the Q that we are friends with or have been the most acquainted with over the years, we saw him die. So maybe if Quinn would have just waited and waited to see what the future held, then he would not have felt the need to end it for himself. Where and this is the same thing that we can think of when we think of people, friends, family who have taken that step. One of the things is they don't know what tomorrow brings. They have already decided today, and I can say this with the most assurity because I've been there as far as the thought is concerned of self-harm. You know what today is. You know what's part of today, but you have no clue what tomorrow may hold. But if you're thinking to yourself, tomorrow is just going to be a whole lot more of today, then of course you can talk yourself into doing something like that. You just are so tired of the todays. But Quinn didn't realize that there is an end to this existence. There is a final moment. And of course, either way you look at it, you experience a final moment. But look at how much you could have influenced or changed throughout all of that time if you would have just given it time. Do I believe that we need to struggle? In today's parlance, maybe a lot of people says, maybe a lot of people are like, yeah, we need to struggle. I don't think we do. And take that from a person who struggles. The struggle is sometimes what makes a person want to check out. But I agree that things might look great and they may be great. They won't last for the long haul, but the reverse can be true. Things may be shitty and they look shitty, but they won't last for the long haul. All right. Justice says, very good, David. That was a great answer. Yeah, I wish David was here. Our last one is from Justin here. And then I'm going to pick up these last two comments here. Justice says, with my whole heart and soul, I believe people must be allowed to make choices, even if they are hard choices that even can lead to hardships or pain for themselves or others. We as humans and society grow from choices and lessons learned, and more often than not, it's from the hard way and from suffering. We will never know the sweet and good things in life without the sour and bad things. Regardless, and no disrespect to anyone of what you or they or we have faith in or believe in, there seems to be an order to the chaos a lot of times. We may not always see it or feel it, but it is there in my view. Free will can be a wonderful thing, and free will can sometimes be very hard and make us question everything. But I believe in people's right to ask questions and have choices in life. The second question is hard to answer because if your ignorance is bliss, does no harm to anything or anyone, it's really hard to say it's wrong. But a lot of ignorance and bliss comes from the suffering of others. And in that context, then it is wrong. Okay. And there are some points in here that I can 100% agree with. And I'm not 100% sure which side of the equation Justin is sitting on, because you say you feel like people should be allowed to make choices. So if this colony that was on what is the name of it? Omicron Ceti III, if that colony made the choice for themselves that this is where we want to be, shouldn't they be allowed to stay? Was it in Kirk's, was it his right to say, nope, everybody's going back with me? Now, let's just get into it as far as the presentation that I've got planned. Because Clarence says, I'm trying to remember this episode. In the end, were the spores all that bad? To me, if you ask me, no. But that's what makes this a really good philosophical question. Because if you ask someone else, yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible what these spores were doing. But if you ask me, it wasn't that bad. And I'm going to explain myself why I say it wasn't that bad. Now, when Grace says, I would have loved for them to link that to Quinn. Maybe his death led to the continuum continuing to develop the ability to die. Now, that is something to think about. Yeah. So Clarence said, I guess they took their free will. In a way, yeah. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get into it because I feel like take my free will. Oh gosh. Justice says those are great answers, Win Grace. Very deep and thoughtful as well. I thought all the answers were excellent, and I appreciate you guys for taking part in these questions of the week. It makes it interesting, not just hearing my opinion all the time. We're getting some of your stuff too, and without the shackles of trying to hurry up and type it out during the show. You give it to me in advance, and you can really expound on what it is that you are trying to say. And yeah, they had great answers. Glenn Gray says he really is really awesome that Star Trek lets us even approach these ideas. Look, man, Stream Elements said press the like button and subscribe. Okay, but there are so many philosophical questions or just the ideas, or I could do this literally for years, and we still haven't answered or asked all the questions that Star Trek provokes you into asking. Now, Clarence says, will mankind always reject a society, even a utopia, if given no control? I think yes. But how much control do we need? How much control do we need before we say, okay, this is good enough? Do we need to? Oh, okay. Let's get into, because my big question was Kirk out of bounds, and there are two answers to that question, of course, for his crew and for the people who colonized Omicron Ceti III. So the answer for his crew, when posed with the issue that he had, which is the spores attached themselves to his crew, he has a set of rights there, and then there's a different set of what he can and can't do with the colonizers of Omicron Ceti III. So the USS Enterprise, this is the synopsis of this episode, giving it to you in a nice little neat bow. The USS Enterprise arrives at the planet Omicron Ceti III, the site of a colony established in 2264. Unfortunately, the Enterprise's mission is only to catalog its destruction under the bombardment of deadly Berthold rays, which were discovered after the colonists left Earth. Captain Kirk, Commander Spock, Dr. McCoy, and Lieutenants Sulu, DeSalle, and Kelowitz beam down to the planet's surface and discover to their surprise that Elias Sandoval and the other colonists are not dead after all. Now we got an Omicron Ceti III timeline. 2264, the colony is established. 2265, no contact from the Federation. 2266, no contact from the Federation. Late 2267, the Enterprise contacts this colony. And after that, we don't know what happened. We don't have any clue what went on with these colonists after they came into contact with the Enterprise. But we do know that when they got there, when Kirk and the Enterprise got there, these people were in perfect health. Perfect health. They were happy. The planet, basically these spores, they all had at some point come in contact with these spores that had also found their home on this planet. They thrive under these Berthold rays, but when they become one with a human host, they kind of, yes, in a way, take over from their free will. But these people are healthy and happy, and they're existing in a drama-free life without technology, and just they're existing. They're not competitive. They're not trying to move up in any, I guess, hierarchy. They still look at Elias Sandoval as their leader, but they're not trying to move up in any hierarchy or anything like that, because that shit means nothing to them. They're just existing happily on this planet. And then here come Kirk and them. Wingray says, we don't talk about control, not after Discovery. Oh gosh. And Justice says, yes, Wiggrays, love how Star Trek can help us get into deep stuff and ideas, just looking right beyond the surface of what this episode puts in your face. If you look a little bit deeper, there are questions like this all over Star Trek. Clarence says, I think an outside force can always see the tragedy of someone who thinks they are in a perfect situation. Cult anyone? Yes, I agree there. Justice says, I agree, Clarence. I believe humanity always has to have a level of control and free will. Now, and I said cult because one person's religion is another person's cult, right? So a person sitting on the outside of what some people call religion, we looking at it like, you got to give up an awful lot to be part of this group. And they're happy inside the group, or at least they look happy inside the group. Is it up to us to say, hey, friend, you're in a cult? And I think it is. I think it is our responsibility to tell them. But okay, we tell them, hey, friend, you're in a cult. And friend says, nope. Well, if this is a cult, then I want to be in it. If I'm brainwashed, then I would rather be no other way. I want to be this way. I want to be brainwashed. Now, is it our right at that point to say, well, no, now I'm going to kidnap you. and pull you out of this cult? Or should we just say this is their choice? This is what they want to do, even though they've given up an awful lot of their free will to be part of this cult. So now we know they are not operating under their own power in a lot of ways. Is it up to us to say, I want to snatch you up out of this? And trust me, I would want to snatch a person that I cared about and or loved up out of that situation. But is it my right to do so? Is it their right to remain oblivious to the prison that they're in? We got some more comments here. Justin says, oh no, I already read it. I read that comment. So we had Leila Kalomi. She was a botanist Spock met in 2261 while he was on Earth. The young lady developed strong feelings for him, which he, of course, could not reciprocate due to his emotional abstinence. So Leila still harbored this unrequited love when the two met again on Omicron Ceti III 6 years later. What this tells me about Leila is that she remembers the before time. So she remembers not being part of this colony. She remembers life before the Spores. She remembers being in love with Spock. She still is in love with Spock, but it's not enough for her to say, I want to leave this colony. I want to be loose from the Spores. I want to be with Spock. She still wants to be a Spock. She remembers everything that happened leading up to getting to Omicron Ceti III. So now, knowing that she knows exactly what she's missing in Starfleet and Federation and all of that, knowing exactly what she's missing, she still has made the decision to stay on Omicron Ceti III. At this point, should she be removed? Should they even consider removing her from this planet? I want to I guess discuss it a little bit. She loves him. Now, this is where she was wrong. This is where the colonists of Omicron Ceti III were wrong. They said, we want these people to stay because that does add some, it does. It's a little bit more excitement. You got some new people. I want them to stay. So now we gonna shoot these freaking spores off in their face too. And we gonna keep them here with us. And especially a person like Spock, who lives his life by an entirely different code than the humans that are a part of the crew of the Enterprise. So Spock, this is a huge difference for him. Once being exposed to these spores, he is able to feel. He's able to now reciprocate the love that Leila had for him. He's able to reciprocate this love. And this is an entirely different feeling for him, but you got to be part of this. He's got to be here under the influence of these spores in order for him to feel it. But even when we get to the end of this episode, the very end of this episode, he said, for once in my life, I was happy. So in this situation, he learned what happiness was. He allowed himself to be happy. And was Kirk within his rights to take that from him? I don't know. Even though he's like, I'm throwing down his flip phone, I don't want no parts of Starfleet anymore. And I've got more on that even. I could see Kirk saying to himself, look, I have lost control of my entire crew. They all they go down to this planet with the group that did go down to the planet. They're exposed to the spores, and then McCoy is like, I'm keeping all these people here. So he sent the spores to the Enterprise where it exposed everybody else on the ship. So now everybody, with the exception of Kirk, is under the influence of the spores. Kirk was under the influence of the spores as well, but his anger at the crew for leaving the Enterprise, that anger stripped the spores influence over him. So then he realized, oh, I gotta make aggressive feelings in people, and that's how I will get my crew back. But if those people were under the influence of the spores and they chose to stay on the Enterprise, would Kirk have had a problem? Would Kirk have been Kirk would have been, I think, this is just me, Kirk would have been okay if his crew would have came back to the Enterprise and lived their life out on the ship. I think he would have been just fine with the decision to stay under the influence of the spores. Instead, he's like, no, I don't, they can't stay. And I believe that he's within his right to say that his entire crew could not stay. He is in charge, or he is going to be held accountable for his crew. And I can understand saying you guys got to come back. But we've also seen in other, and maybe this is a precedent that was set, maybe because this was put in Kirk's captain's log, it was handed down and mandated later that, hey, if somebody wants to go, this is not a military organization. These are people who are here on a volunteer basis. They can leave whenever they want. They are not prisoners to Starfleet. They're not prisoners to the Federation. So while I understand why Kirk said I got to expose my entire crew to this noise that's going to make everybody aggressive and bring them back to the Enterprise, while I understand why he did it, I don't understand why he made that decision for the colonists who were not part of his crew, who were put there to colonize Omicron Ceti III, and whether they like the way the colony was going or not, that's what they were doing. In fact, they hadn't even been to check on these people for 3 years. They thought the people were dead. So once you get there and these people are living their best life without your influence, why did you have to change that for them? Let me see. Just to say it, so if the spores gave a choice and the people decided to go with that spore life, then Kirk has to back off. But it was forced. So Kirk had a right to do what he did then. Right. But you still got to give people a choice. So if he brought them back and 15, 20 of them said, I want to go back down there. At that point, you got to say, I got to let you go. You got to go back down there. If you want to go back down there, then go. Because this is not the U.S. military. These people can leave whenever they want to. As far as I know, Starfleet is voluntary. They don't have to stay. I've seen a million times where people fall in love on one of these episodes, and then they fall in love quick. This episode is only 47 minutes long, and these people are in love and decide that they're going to throw their entire career away and stay on this planet. There are some people who will try to talk them out of it, but at the end of the day, they can't make them do shit. And we saw it several times with Picard. Now, Picard is far more diplomatic than Kirk. If you ask me, he's gotten far more of a diplomatic uh, trajectory to how he handles situations. So maybe he was like, I'm not about to argue with nobody. That's where you want to be. But Kirk, I feel like the injury to him was that he couldn't leave the Enterprise. He was so connected to the Enterprise that he couldn't leave it. And he didn't expect nobody else to be able to leave it either. In fact, when he got Spock on the ship and started saying the horrible things that Kirk said to him to get him angry, those are the things that he was hitting on. Number one, you think you can make love to that girl? First and foremost, we know that sound to me like a hater's in the mix. But of course, you know that's not the way that was supposed to be taken. But it does sound hateration. It sounds like hateration. And then he also said, you mutinous, and he called him all kinds of demon-eared, just all types of horrible stuff that he said about Spock to get Spock angry enough to knock him clean the F out. He didn't hit him as hard as he should have, but he got angry. And and I think that was wrong. Justice said, I agree. Once they're free of the spores and can think clearly and are given the choice again and go with it still, okay, that's what they decided to do. I agree. They can go. And the people, the colonists who were on the planet, they were exposed to this noise that woke them out of their indoctrination by these spores. And they lost all of the good that came with being under the influence of the spores. Remember, the spores was keeping them from getting sick. The spores healed all past injuries that they had, replaced organs that had been released or that had been removed, such as the appendix of one person had been taken out, and now it was back. This, to me, sounds like these people, they were, yes, they were, a lot of things were taken from them, but so much was given to them as well. And it's hard for me to say which side is which, because when you look at it like a cult, which is how I keep going back, when you look at it like a cult, you're like, these people, I wouldn't want to be left to languish in a cult, living in a world that we know is not real. But the people inside really believe that this is real. You say it ties in with Khan. I'm trying to think. Does it tie in with Khan because of him being a benevolent ruler and except you can't leave? Is that what you mean? Tell me, Justin. But yeah, I'm torn about how I feel about Kirk's I guess making the executive decision that he made to everybody, not just my people, but everybody is coming up off this planet. I don't think that I agree with that. But at the same time, like I said, if I'm in a high control group and I have to give up, and I won't use the name of this religion. There's a religion that they seem like really nice people, some of the nicest people in the world. And then you realize how much of their lives they have to give up. For instance, they're encouraged or discouraged. They're discouraged from working jobs that are too demanding because they need to be spending the most of their time in the church. And they're discouraged from going and getting higher education because if you're doing that, then that's time that you should be putting into the church. And you can't have friends outside of this organization because those friends are worldly and they are going to die. So if you can't get them to join the organization, then you cannot befriend them. You can't have any extracurricular activities because if you have extracurricular activities, again, that's taken away from the church. Now, some of the perks of being part of this group is you got a built-in group of friends. Yeah, they all gonna be friends to you because y'all all part of the same freaking high control group. Anyway, let me pick up. These spores escaped from the mycelial network. Did they? That's where I didn't know. Are you for real? If they did escape from the mycelial network, well then look at there. That makes sense, Clarence. It does make sense. Are you serious that they could escape from the mycelial network? You're joking. Because let me tell you why it makes sense, though. Because Tilly and all them seeing what they wanted to see when they were under the influence of these spores, everybody had a different trippy type of experience while they were tripping off spores. So I was thinking that you was telling me, like, goofing with me. Yeah. Justice says Khan gave his citizens so much in terms of peace and everything, but they had no free will or very little freedom. He gave them peace and order. I agree with that. And it does make sense about this mycelial network. I'm not going to stop thinking about that for the rest of the day. Will Grace said, someone is making that canon as we speak. Yep. Tilly's spore friend. It was some wild shit going on when the people got influenced by the spores, though, wasn't it? Because didn't Stamets have a weird spore induced daydream or something too? The spores know all, as Khan knows all. Living that spore life, Lord have mercy. But yeah, I think people should be given all of the variables and then make your choice. And even if we feel like this person is making the wrong choice, it's still their choice. Whether or not you and I'm saying it like if you even have a friend, a loved one who's an alcoholic, you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make them drink. So if you or a drug addict even. So if you have a friend who is has an addictive personality, they're using these substances, and you tell them, I'm pulling you up out this bar and I'm taking you to rehab. They don't have to stay. It has to be their choice. Even though you're saying to yourself, these people, this person who I love is constantly under the influence of a mind-altering substance. They're not thinking straight. So I'm going to make a decision for them. You don't get to do that. Even if you do it, it doesn't stick because this wasn't their choice. So sometimes if a person wants to make the wrong choice, we still have to allow them. You know how many People I know made horrible choices, myself included. And the people that around you and the people who love you are like, look, what the hell was that? Oh, some hair. That was about to make me rain dance up in this thing. I thought it was a bug on me. Anywho, my retarded butt, and I guess I could call myself that. I have made horrible choices, and I had family, friends who wanted to help me see the error of my ways. And the thing is, I had to fight my way out of it. That to me is the struggle that When Grace is talking about. Once you're given all of the variables, you're given all of the things that you need. Everything is in your toolbox to make a good decision, and you still make a bad decision, then so be it. That's your decision. It's your choice, your journey. So I feel like these people on this planet, even though they were under the influence of the spores were not making them do anything destructive. The spores were not killing them. The spores, in fact, were providing them with a very happy existence. It's kind of like the Garden of Eden. Now, this is the way, if you are a religious person, or if you are aware of the story of Paradise Lost, the original Paradise Lost story. In fact, Bones said it at the end of this episode. He's like, this is the second time man's been booted from paradise. But let's talk about the first time. The first time man was booted from paradise, the way that we were, quote unquote, meant to live was a life of subservience to God. And God put us, our predecessors, in a beautiful, lovely garden. And you had your, you could do whatever your heart desired, except for touch this tree over here. Now, we got the tree of life. The tree of life, you can eat all day. All the rest of these trees, eat all day. The tree of knowledge of good and evil, you can't eat from that tree. Don't touch that tree. But I'm going to give you free will. So free will is going to make you want to touch that tree. But the existence, if you're a religious person, the existence that we were supposed to be living was with choice, but it was manufactured choice, because once you make this choice, now your life has got to be hard from this day period, this day forward. This life of ease that you had, we ain't giving that. You can't have that no more because you ate out for that tree. Well, these people were given that paradise again, and there was no care. Only thing that was is like, don't get mad at each other. But they didn't even know that. They didn't know that if getting mad at each other was going to cause them to lose paradise. So they were just living happily. And as long as they lived happily, they got paradise. I think, yeah. So if you're telling me, if it were me and I was a colonist on that planet, and you can remember everything that happened before you got to the planet, you can remember being on the planet, and once you're out of the influence of the spores, you can remember what happens after. I would prefer to live in that ignorant bliss. I think so. As long as I don't get mad at anybody, and nobody is doing anything to make you mad on this planet, you mean to tell me I could just live a happy forever life? And you're telling me that there are people who truly believe that there's a place called heaven, and that they're going to go there one day and be given these same types of choices. They're going to be given the same choice. When you get to heaven, everything is going to be given to you, and there ain't going to be no death, and there ain't going to be no crying. There won't be no gnashing of teeth. There won't be no loss. Everybody is going to be there. It's going to be kumbaya. You mean to tell me it's going to be somebody up there to be like, well, no, we need to struggle a little bit. No, I hope not. I hope nobody goes up there and messes up heaven. Anywho. When Grace says, I mean, Wally was a happy existence, but it didn't lead to anything positive. I don't remember how Wally ended. I don't even know if I saw the end. I may have fallen asleep at some point in this movie. But to whom is it positive? To whom does something have to be positive? Does it have to be positive from the person on the outside looking in, or does it have to be positive to the people who are living it? I don't know. To me, the chaos that some people live in as far as their home life, like for me, my chaos is I keep a messy area. My room, I got stuff everywhere. It's just stuff. It's almost like a fucking museum in here. So to me, this is home. To you, it's like there's nothing positive going on in this room. It's a lot positive going on in this room. I am being left the F alone. Okay, so that's me. Then there are people who, from me, as I sit on the outside looking in, there are people who love company. Got to have 10, 12 people running in and out all day. They're coming in to get a plate. They're leaving. They're coming back to borrow some sugar. They're leaving. They want eggs. They come in and want to play cards. They want to sit on your couch and watch your TV with you. And to me, that does not sound fun. There's nothing positive going on in there. Your existence is happy to you, but to me, it's shit. That my opinion means absolutely nothing on your planet, the planet you call home, the planet that I call home. Your opinion means nothing here. So who are we to say? Here we go. One of my movies, there's that Devil's Advocate. When Grace says, to quote Pacino in Devil's Advocate, it's the goof of all time. Look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't taste. Taste, don't swallow. And it's a catch to every damn thing. And that's why I'm saying it is you cannot live by these rules. It's a lot of freaking rules. Same as the Matrix. Yes. Same difference. You can be here and just be ignorance is bliss, tasting them good old steaks, or you could be eating this pasty ass oatmeal like substance over here in the real world. What you gonna choose? Now, the Matrix to me is a little different, and the reason why is because people died inside of the Matrix. You could still have some harm come to you inside of the Matrix. If you're going to provide a world for me, I don't want a world where something bad can still happen to me inside of this world where ignorance is bliss. If I got to do all that, I want to be on the other side, in the real world. Or am I don't think I'm being crazy. I think I'm being 100%. Welcome to the desert of the real. Agreed with Wally. I don't remember how that story ended. Clarence and Win Grace, you both have some awesome takes. Aren't people in cults happy? Yes. That's what I think of. Until they learn you in a cult, and until they are actually because the Nexium people, yeah, they loved it till it came time to get branded all on your thighs, and until it came time for once you found out, I guess is how I put it, once you find out that you're being had, that everything that you believed in could be a lie. Once you find that out, then it's the biggest hurt of your entire life, because you feel like these people, whomever, somebody knows the truth or somebody knew the truth and they kept it from you. And you feel like I put all of my time, effort, energy, money into this thing, and now you pull the bottom out from up under me. I understand how it feels to be removed from a cult. And this is why I say it's unfair of us. It's almost like telling a kid about Santa Claus too soon. And growing up, nobody ruined it for me. I just figured it out on my own. But I watched my son. Now, my son comes from a long line of Jehovah's Witnesses, not on my side of the family, on his dad's side of the family. So they didn't want him to believe in a Santa Claus and all this. And I just think it's great fun. So when he's about 5 or 6, they told him. And he came back and fucked everybody's childhood up. And while I'm laughing and it's funny now, just imagine you just stole something from this child. And you make me look bad. Because instead of letting him find out on his own that mama was making all of this happen, now you just make me look like a liar for telling him. Yes, Santa Claus comes, but I'm the person who busted their ass to make this Christmas happen. But yes, I tell him Santa Claus, yeah, we got to just keep the illusion up, keep the facade up because it's fun. And then he came back one year and told me I was lying. So, did that hurt or help this child? Because now what is he looking at his mama as? A big old liar. You done bought me all these toys and told me this fat man to slum down this chimney and brought that we even have no chimney. You made up a story of how the fat man was getting in our house. So yes, I do believe sometimes ignorance is bliss. Wait, what did you read about Santa? Sorry. Oh, Pikes, and you're right, Clarence. This is perfect because he doesn't have free will there, kind of. But it's like he believes that he's in paradise. As far as he's concerned, he's in paradise. And it's a choice that he made to live out his life. And it is not anybody's business to say, we don't want you living like that, Pike. So we're going to snatch you up out of this very beautiful lie that you're living. Wait. He's not real? Let me tell you, man. Let me tell you. I can tell you a few things about the Easter Bunny too, but I don't want to overwhelm you. I'm not trying to hit you with everything at once. Comes a time in every child's life, dreams crushed. I don't think it was fair that they did that to my baby when he was a baby. He was only 5 or 6 years old. He come home calling me a liar and talk about ain't no such thing as Santa. It's the reverse of Moriarty. We know how life isn't real, but he doesn't yet. I think this is a question that we could probably sit and talk. This discussion could go on for literal days because everybody's take is just as valid as the take before it. But at the end of it all, I don't know if Kirk's reasoning, and if we can also get on the whole mutiny thing, because Spock says in, was it this episode? What episode was it where Spock said there hasn't been a mutiny before this? I can't remember if it was this episode, but he, even though he was lying, Spock was lying when he said there wasn't another mutiny because he knows his sister mutinied. But he didn't know that he knew that until we got Discovery. Oh, Justice said the illusion is always bliss and accepting until reality comes knocking and shows you the truth. But the reality isn't always bliss and accepting. I'm going to tell you about me. This is some stuff that, I'm amongst friends. I can tell you. I have talked myself out of so much because the reality that I create for myself is one that is based on fear. This is something that even working with a therapist, I have not fully released yet. My reality from my entire life has been based upon fear. And I don't know where it starts. I can't put the finger on where it began. Parts of me says it began when my mother passed away. And from that point on, anything became possible. My mother passed away when I was 12. So from that point on, any bad thing in the world became possible because I lost my mother. And if this is where it started, then I just had a breakthrough. But my entire life, there was so much that I could have, would have, should have done, but fear kept me from doing it. Down from performing when I was an athlete. Sometimes I was afraid to win. I'm bullshit you not. I wanted to win. I knew that's what I was there for. I ran track. But sometimes I was afraid. And going to college, afraid of going someplace different. Fear became my reality. So the illusion in my life wasn't bliss. It was pain and fear and reality. The reality that came knocking and showing me the truth was other things, what other people saw in me. I always would think people are going to realize I'm a fraud at some point. Like I would get some of the highest test scores. It's easy for me to say. I can't prove it to you today, but I was very, very bright person in school. But for some reason, I felt like people are going to realize I'm not good enough at something. And then everything is going to come falling down. It's the same thing I do with the podcast, same thing I do with everything. I talk myself. This is as loose as I've been in a long time, as far as letting go of fear. So my reality is fear, and it's not fun to be here. So the illusion being bliss is not true all the time. I should be probably a whole hell of a lot happier than I really am, but fear is my constant. If I'm sitting here, fear is sitting right here behind me at my shoulder, talking in my ear the entire time, telling me horrible shit. So let me be, if I go into a state of complete bliss, that's a world that I've never been in. Even I would never know, I wouldn't know how to feel. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are enjoying the conversation. I hope I didn't just hit y'all with too much. Oh, yeah, win grace. You're saying pretty much what Justice said, linking these topics, they all do kind of come together. Bashir was living in the illusion that he was a normal person. All of these people that think that or that their worldview is one way, and it turns out that they're living in an entirely different world. And when you take the blinders off and they see the world for what it is, it's an illusion. You know, they're wondering why did people allow me to live in this illusion for so long. Oh, thank you, Clarence. Thank you. But yeah, it's just everybody's experience moving through this thing is so different. And being in a place where you don't have to think about it, where you could just be, that might just be their idea of heaven. I appreciate it, y'all. It's like you know, imposter syndrome. That's and I try new things because I don't want to let it win. But then even when I'm doing well at those new things, I start to feel like I'm an imposter again. So I'm trying to be better. I appreciate it. You guys are actually, you don't understand how much you're helping with me getting better. So thank you. I don't know if I say it enough or if I say it at all. Thank you, because it is. It feels good to have a place to get these thoughts and feelings out into the open, and at the same time, you guys are validating to me that I'm not crazy just because I'm okay. I'm not that crazy. I'm still a little touched, but I'm not that crazy. Oh, Wingray says the people who feel like they belong and usually don't. I completely, I completely agree. Some people have too much confidence, and you're right. I appreciate it, Justin. I try to be authentic. Thank you. Now, let's talk about Strange New Worlds in these last few minutes here. Strange New Worlds, we talked about it at the top. It's exciting. What y'all want to do with Strange New Worlds? Uh, are we going to keep having these deep kind of conversations on our Sunday Engage Live, or do you guys want to pivot and make that where we do our deeper, more intense dives into Strange New Worlds? Because that's what we did for Picard. And I don't particularly want to do both. I want to do one or the other. You know, we still do the show the same format, which is talk our news, beyond the holodeck, and then jump into the episode, if that's how we're going to do it, or jump into our topic of the week. That's how we're going to do it. So if you guys got any ideas of how you guys want to go about this, because I'm like, hi. Okay. Say, Claire said, I love that. I'm thinking you would love which one. And Wingray says, since Strange New Worlds is more episodic, each week might have a new deep topic. So, yeah, we might be able to dive into, you know, whatever is going on in Strange New Worlds that week. Okay, so we can do our deeper dives, and if Strange New Worlds has some deeper topics, we can discuss those. If not, we'll just be more intense. Just get into Strange New Worlds. Clarence, let me know what you're doing as far as weekly. I might want to join you weekly if you guys are doing Strange New Worlds. I know that things are going to be a little different at home for a while. If you need me to step in and guest host, I'll do so. I will. So until you are ready to come back, because we got a little girl who's going to probably demand a bit of attention for at least the first few weeks before she gets accustomed to being out. Because I might need somebody to do it for me come, when does this baby due? September. So somebody might need to come through for me and do a episode or two of Trick by Numbers. I'm gonna try to get some done before the little baby girl here arrives. But yeah, it was exciting. It's so exciting that that new babies, new life. Somebody is going to be able to take over this chair and and do this for me when I get too old. I will have built-in little co-hosts over here. So anywho, I appreciate you. Yep, I'm going to try to hang out with y'all this season too. I enjoyed doing it for Picard. So thank you, Clarence. Thank you, Win Grace. Thank you, Justin. Anybody who is watching or listening on the rebroadcast, what it do? What it do? Oh, we got something else from Justin here. I think talking about the show was perfect, but if it leads to a deep topic, then follow it. But I have a feeling Strange New Worlds will have a lot to talk about. I think so too. I'm excited to see what it gives us. Don't let the new babies watch this Santa discussion. Nope. Not even right now. I'm not even gonna let Ashton, off-screen producer Ashton is off doing producer things. He's off being an exec right now. But no, I don't want to ruin his life. I got a feeling his daddy is gonna do that to him. Now his daddy ain't no Jehovah's Witness, but he's gonna do it. He's going to ruin it himself. So it is what it is. I can't control that. I'm grandma, I'm not mama. So anywho, support the show, become a member, just hit the join button, make sure that you have liked, make sure that you have subscribed, make sure that you is there anything else that you should make sure you've done? I'll make sure that you come back here Friday or Saturday, depending on how deep of a weekly of the review that I want to do right after the show. I think I want the review I do right after the show to be less involved. It'll be more of a first reaction. So if I'm doing first reaction, I'm going to do it on Fridays. So be on the lookout for that ish. And with all that being said, it has been fun. I love talking to you. I'll see y'all in the next one. Live long and prosper. Peace.